You know the vibes. Welcome back to another episode of the Hoop Genius podcast brought to you by NBA 2K23. I am Momutsi. As always, alongside me is the one and only Mr. BJ Armstrong.
Real name, no gimmicks.
BJ, how
No
you been?
gimmicks.
How you been? How you been?
Mo, 100% of the time, no gimmicks.
BJ, I'm in a good mood today. I've had a
You
great
should
day.
be.
I've had a great day today.
Okay. Anything you care to answer?
Well, shout out to the fans who guessed the correct answer at the end of yesterday's episode where I said there's going to be an exclusive interview. I didn't want to say too much because you know how these things go. Something might happen at the last minute and it ends up not happening. But I'm proud to say that very soon you guys will be able to listen to my interview with, I can just list the accolades all day long. But as a wise man once said, BJ, as a wise man once said, this is how I wanted to do this. Let me give you the context. It was like a live event with a crowd. And I wanted to introduce our guest by using the words of Jadakiss, the young boss of the cross for 4 quarters. And from 3-point land, he's all water. Matter of fact, call him the king. The way he breaks down the defense, it's like he's got the ball on a string. I didn't give it to them. I didn't give it to them. Instead, I gave them a different intro. I didn't know if they were ready for all of that sauce. But the one and only Allen Iverson was joining me today in an exclusive interview. And it was an amazing experience. One of my childhood icons. I mean, everyone wanted to be AI. BJ, did you ever consider getting the braids when AI had them?
No.
Because half the league did. Half the league started rocking the braids with the headband after AI.
No, I never.
BJ's too professional to be dressing in the baggy clothes.
Well, I just grew up in a different era. I respect that. As a kid, believe it or not, in the summertime, yeah. As a kid, right? When that was before. That was like in the 70s when I was a young kid. Somewhere around there. And then, as you got a little older, you grew out of the baggy pants phase.
Nah,
you
man,
grew out of
I'm still on that. I'm still on that. Now we call it drip, BJ. Now it's called drip.
Exactly.
Now
That's
it's called fashion.
Things come back in style,
See me on the runway next year.
I remember as a young kid, you wore the braids and then it went out of fashion and then it came back with AI and then that generation was like, oh, this is new. It was new to them. It was like, well, we'd already been there, done that. So it's cool. I mean, I respect that.
Now we had a great interview. So I'm not going to tell you guys too much, but I want to get your perspective on a question that left Mr. Iverson with a lot to think about. He really postulated and thought about this question a lot. But I want to get your perspective. If we put a prime Allen Iverson into the NBA today, how many points is he going to average in a season? Because first of all, he's going hard for all 82 games. But how many points a game do you think prime Allen Iverson would make today? Because when you look at the league, when you look at the Ja Morants, the prime Russell Westbrook, the prime D Rose, AI really laid the foundation for those guys to go out and get it. So how many points do you think he'd average in today's game?
Well, it's fascinating to watch Allen Iverson because he was a very unique player in this sense. He was truly a smaller player, but he played out of position, right? He played
the rare chance I get to interview an NBA player who I'm taller than. It was fantastic. Yeah. Even took a picture standing up. Usually I make them sit down so I don't look too small on Instagram.
Exactly. He's an interesting player because we had seen many players like that before him, right? There was Nate Archibald, there was Isaiah Thomas, there were a lot of young players who've come in the league. Calvin Murphy, for instance, there were a lot of players who could score, right? A lot of players. Pistol Pete Maravich, for instance, even though he was taller. And what I mean by that is they could score. However, once they get to the NBA, they had to make a transition. You had to actually run a team. That's what makes Steph Curry so interesting, is
Mhm.
because Steph Curry, Allen Iverson, and these guys remain scorers. And there was a fit that helped them become that player. So, for instance, Allen Iverson, you say, well, how many points would he average today?
Mhm.
Well, I don't know if Eric Snow would be able to play today in today's game as a guard who really couldn't score or shoot.
Mhm.
I don't know if you could put Allen Iverson on the floor with not one guy, but two guys on the floor, a Dikembe Mutombo, for instance,
Yep.
or Theo Rattler, for instance. I'm not saying they couldn't play in this game because they would have to be different players than they were or than they would have to be if they played today. So maybe you can get away with one guy who can't score.
I mean,
but
OKC had those lineups with like Cephalosha and Steven Adams, or Andre Robertson and Steven Adams, where it was two non-shooting threats.
okay, that was yeah, that was over 10 years ago. Okay.
Just damn, I'm feeling old.
Yeah, I mean, you're. But again, there was a reason that those teams had to change up the way they play. So you're saying in today's game, right? Or is that how you
Yeah,
phrased
in
it? You say
today's
today's
game,
game.
how many points would
I
AI
I I
average?
I always thought Allen. I would have loved to seen Allen play his natural position, in my opinion, because he was so magnificent as a scoring small guard, and he did it against much bigger players. He was truly an undersized player. He had mastered the art of playing much bigger than what he was. I mean, Mo, you can see I don't know if is he really over 6 feet? I don't know,
No,
but he plays much bigger.
yeah.
He plays much bigger. Now, he was doing this against 6'5", 6'6", excuse me, 6'6", 6'7" players. I can only imagine what he would have done if he was able to play against guys my size.
Mm.
Okay. And he was able to do that because clearly he had the handle to do it. Clearly he had the ability to get by anyone. He had all the speed and quickness you could ever want as a lead guard in this league. He could defend. Even though he was slight of build, he was very strong. I think if he played in today's game, okay, do I see him playing like an Allen, not Allen Iverson, like a Steph Curry,
Like a John Morant?
Yeah, I don't think he would play like John Morant. I think he could, but I don't know if that's how he would want to play. And look, when I saw Allen play as a younger kid before he got to the Philadelphia 76ers, John Morant is truly a lead guard. He distributes, he manages the game, he gets the ball to shooters, and then he scores and he does all those other things. Derrick Rose did the same thing. Those are different guards. Allen Iverson is a scorer. He remained a scorer, and he was a scorer to the end of his career.
Mm-hmm.
However, I would have loved to have seen Allen Iverson be a lead guard and utilize his scoring ability when needed, run the team when needed, and really manage the game, because he was just a dynamic athlete. So, you know what? He had a phenomenal career. He scored 30 something. I don't know what his career average is, but he was right around 30 points a game.
26.7, but you've got to factor in those kind of final years where he played like Memphis.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, that's incredible. And you look at the numbers, you go, wow. But I also like to think, wow, what if he would have played that other position, and then he could have played against guys my size, and manage the game. Okay. And maybe he doesn't average 27 and 28 points a night.
Well, but
he averages 21 or 22.
His top years in scoring, he was putting up 31.1, 31.4, 30.7, 26.8, 33 points in one season was his highest.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I listen, the numbers speak for itself. But again, Mo, I'm from a different era. My era is, okay, how do you win? He was phenomenal. No doubt about it. Fun. I remember playing against him. You can't argue that. However, I would have loved to seen him play a different brand of basketball because he was so dynamic. He was tough. He showed up. He was physical. He was just unbelievable. It was just unbelievable to watch him play. So I would have hoped that he would have at least 1 year given it a shot to be a lead guard. And then if you're a lead guard, to see him dominate as a lead guard in this league, I think would have just been like, I don't even know how you really would defend him because he was so dynamic as an athlete.
Did you ever get crossed by AI?
Everyone gets crossed. Everyone's got crossed. Yeah.
But like when you were playing against him, was it a bigger factor in your mind? Like, damn, I'm going to be on skates compared to other guards you would go up against.
No, I wanted to see it. Like, okay, when you're playing in a game, you have to take away something, right? And the first thing you have to take away is the direct a direct
drive to the bucket. Yeah.
Okay, I had a job to do. Okay. People in the media, your job is to make the game exciting by going, this guy got crossed over. I had a job to do. I had to take away the initial drive-by. That's your job. Okay. All right. If he goes directly by me, we have no chance. If he crosses me over, I should have help. Everybody in the arena, including the media and everyone else, knows that he's going to cross over. Why? That's his move.
Yeah.
Okay. The good teams, they help. They help the helper. Everyone's on a string. You hear it talk all the time. We got to play defense and we got to help. We got to help. Okay. The bad teams, he crosses over, he gets it, and you go, oh, he's on skates and he does this. Yes, I got crossed over. Yes, I got dunked on. Yes, I got everything. That's the name of the game. Don't play if you're worried about that. What I couldn't do is allow him, as best I could, or any player, to go a direct drive-by, right?
Yeah.
That's what you try not to do, okay? If you want to lose the game for sure in the first quarter, just allow him to have direct blow-bys. If he crosses me over, Mo, I got a chance.
Yeah, you got help defenders behind you.
I got help defenders behind me. I got bigger athletes behind me. I got stronger athletes behind me. And if I do my job and play defense as he goes by me, okay, maybe Mo, he misses. Maybe you get a strip. Maybe. That's how it works. So, yeah, of course you're going to get crossed over. Don't you? Who's afraid to get crossed over? Who's afraid? Like, you're out there playing, well, I don't want to get crossed over. Well, you don't want to play then. That's the way I go. That's like playing against a great player and said, oh, I don't want him to score on me. Well, of course that's going to happen.
Unavoidable. Let's go back to the NBA this season, though.
Yes. How about it?
What's been catching your eye? Because right now, the Lakers are absolutely cruising. As we record this, it's the middle of the night and we're recording this. The Lakers are up, 30 points, 40 points last time we checked against the Pelicans. What's going on over there in New Orleans? Because at the start of the year, they were up there at the top of the standings. Obviously, Zion's taking some time out with injuries. They're looking pretty healthy now, with the exception of Zion. Brandon Ingram's back, but they just can't seem to get it together.
I'm not sure what's going on in New Orleans. Sometimes you look at teams and you just don't understand. And this is certainly a case here. I know Zion is out, but I still like their team. Okay. I like their team. I like the guys that they have. For instance, Trey Murphy, Brandon Ingram, Valanciunas, Herb Jones, CJ McCullough. I mean, Mo, that's a good team.
Mm-hmm. That's a very good team.
That's a good play. Larry Nance Jr., Josh Richardson. Those are good players.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I don't know, Mo. I have my own thoughts on why they're not winning. And Mo, one of those thoughts is, I think CJ McCullough is a really good player. However, Mo, there's one thing I've learned about the NBA is you got to have a guard who plays downhill.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's.
I think we talked about this, the lack of a point guard there.
Absolutely, and CJ McCullough is a terrific NBA player. However, you have to have certain things in today's game that translate to that are impactful in today's game. One, you must be able to play in the open court and play screen roll and really push the pace of the game. Why? Because the pace of the game does matter in today's game, because it's a truly positionless game. And the players who have the better guards, who can dictate the tempo and push the tempo and break down the defense by their penetration and all those things, create easier shot opportunities for threes, getting to the basket, attacking the basket, getting your bigs involved in lobs, so forth and so on. I don't think that's CJ McCullough's game.
No,
okay, CJ McCullough is a scorer.
He's a shooting guard, but they're playing with the point.
He's what I would consider a 2-1. He's some type of combo guard, but he's more 2 than 1. Can he mimic the position? Yes. Is it his natural position to dictate, control the tempo, time and score, get the ball to Valanciunas, No, that's not his game. So when I watch them, because I look at their team and I go, that's a better team. However, they don't have a player who can create offense for other players. Zion is a player where he forces the other team to double. And because he forces them to double, he more or less becomes a point forward, because he's the one who's distributing the basketball. So if there's one thing that I see with this team, they don't have a player. Brandon Ingram, look, he can score and get his own, but he doesn't require you to double him, or he can create offense for others around him like a Zion can. So I think that's their problem, because they should be better, in my opinion. But maybe I have them overrated, but I think they should be better.
I definitely agree. One interesting game that we haven't talked about was the Warriors versus Suns game from the other night. And in particular, did you see the clip where Steph Curry told CP3, it ain't 2014 no more, after hitting him with a tough and one? Did you see that?
Yeah, that's little brother talking to the big brother. Yeah, that's little brother.
I read something very interesting. That the 2014 Clippers, Lob City, led by Chris Paul, was actually the last team to win a Western Conference playoff series against the Warriors when the Warriors have been healthy. Since then, the Warriors are 18-0. Since that's almost 10 years of dominance. That's just kind of
18-0
against the Western Conference when they're healthy.
The Warriors have been the best defensive team for the past decade. Let's just call it what it is, right? Last 9-10 years, they've been the best defensive team. We could talk about their offense. We can talk about Klay Thompson, Steph Curry, However, defensively, they've been the most consistent team from that end of the floor. They limit the other team to one shot. And this is a team that, they're well coached. They have discipline, so forth and so on. And Steph Curry, to his credit, Steph Curry has improved like every year. He's added something new to his game.
Particularly this defensively.
Well, here's the thing. Everybody has some type of gap in their game. Steph Curry has never lacked the following. He gives you the effort and energy. It's not like some players you watch and you go, come on, man, you're not even giving it to me. Steph Curry gives it to you. It's just that it was something that was glaring about him as a great player. He didn't have the ability early in his career to play through contact. Very rarely can you be a great player and not have a certain level of physicality that you bring to the game, like playing through the contact, because the great players get double teamed and triple teamed. So those players have to be strong enough to play through two players if a double team comes.
Yeah.
To his credit, now when you watch Steph Curry now, because he's not a high, what I would call a high free throw guy. He's a superstar that doesn't get fouled a lot. Okay, I don't know what his numbers are. I'm not a numbers guy like that. But he doesn't live at the free throw line
like Embiid or a Giannis.
Yeah, Giannis, or I would imagine Zion would be a high free throw guy. Jokic, those guys. I remember James Harden was a
he lived for the line. Yeah.
Okay. But those guys all are big. They can play through the physical contact of the game, right? Steph Curry now, at 34, 35.
He
I think
turns
just had a
35
birthday.
today or yesterday.
He's playing more physical now than I can recall he ever did when he was a young player.
He added 15 pounds of muscle last offseason.
And
So I don't
to
know how
me,
much he
that's
added
great.
this offseason, but that was before
So
their championship run.
and to me, that's great, because what does that say? He understands what I'm saying. You don't gain weight to gain weight. You gain weight because if you're going to be great, if you're going to be the best at who you can be, you got to be in the certain level of physical condition to do that. So the fact that he's playing through contact allows him to do something he couldn't do earlier in his career. He couldn't bust through a screen. He couldn't fight over a lot of screens because he just wasn't strong enough to do it. But he always gave you the effort and the energy. But it takes a certain, it's like when you watch Drew Holiday, sometimes he'll just bust through a screen. He like bullies through a screen as a point guard. And you're like, God, how strong is he? Like Marcus Smart. Marcus Smart is just reckless. He's down there banging with Julius Randle and these guys. And you're going, how strong is this guy?
Yeah.
You see, now we don't remark about it, but think about this. Marcus Smart and Steph Curry play the same position, where one guy can bang with like centers. He's taking a charge on Joel Embiid.
Yeah.
And the other guy has to run around Joel Embiid. Same position, same play, they're not the same player, but same player,
position.
same position.
Yeah.
So you follow what I'm saying? Now, Steph Curry, I'm not saying he would take a charge on Joel Embiid like Marcus, because Marcus is you
gotta be in your head as well to take a charge on Joel Embiid. Like, I don't know, even big fellas that do that.
But Steph Curry now, I saw him do things. I saw him have a block shot, I think, last week for a game winner.
Yeah.
I've seen him now take more charges than I've ever seen him take. And now he's playing through contact on the offensive end. I see him run through screens now. And I'm like, good for him. Like, good for him that he's still finding ways to improve his game. That, to me, is what basketball is all about. You find ways to improve your game. Now, people don't talk about those things with Steph Curry as much as his three-point shooting. People say, when you say Steph Curry, you think of the greatest three-point shooter of all time. But you're watching him improve his game, which improves and helps the team. And then he continues to do what he always does, which he shoots at a very high clip. So I think that's great to see. It's great to watch. And more importantly, you can see the details of his game. I mean, he's aware of what he needs to work on for his team to be successful, which is beautiful to watch.
Man, what did you have to add to your game as you got older in your career? I'm in my interview bag today.
Yeah, well, the thing is, I tried, it's one thing for a smaller player, right? We all know this happens. When you're a smaller player, the one thing that's going to leave you is your speed and quickness. So how do you maintain your edge, right? You have to become stronger. And that's what I love about watching Steph Curry. He's aging gracefully. He's aging gracefully, right? When you're tall, you're 6'9", like Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant can lose a step, but he's so tall, he can make an adjustment where you won't even notice he lost a step, because size and length doesn't deteriorate with age. A 7-footer is still a 7-footer as he ages.
That's like the old saying, like, even within a singular game, a 7-footer is still going to be 7 foot at the end of the fourth quarter. You're going to be tired.
Well, but when you're 6 feet, 6'1", 6'2", like Steph Curry, these guys, Ja Morant, they keep coming into the league and they seem like they're getting faster and faster. De'Aaron Fox, Ja Morant, and these young guys keep coming in. And at some point, you just can't keep up, right? But what you can do is you can control bodies on the floor. You can push guys off their position. You can learn how to bump and defend now and do things that are different, but as you lose a little step here and there, right? And so the thing that I tried to maintain as I age was I tried to be as strong as I was at my peak, and I tried to get stronger. And I tried to play a little bit more physical. Like, a lot of times I would come off a pick and just want to get by a guy. Then I would come off the pick and hit a guy. Just bump him. Just so he had to feel my body. Because when you're younger, you're not as strong. So when I would play against a younger player, I would always hit him on the screen.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Older players, you would hit and they would know how to hit and absorb or hit you before you would hit them. So those are the things that you learn as you age. I always try to wear people down with the physicality of the game. Like a lot of times, you would just, like back then we could hand check. I would just hand check a guy just so he can feel me the whole way as he's bringing the ball up the court. Meaning I'm just going to put my weight and push him and just keep that continuous pushing on him. Now in the open court, they had the advantage with the speed and quickness. But when the game slowed down, the speed and quickness, but you got to feel this this strength. You got to feel that bump. Because a lot of players, Mo, can't play through the physicality of the game. Yeah. Which is something, I see a lot of young players working on all these moves, right? Step through the Euro step and the double step back and the in and out. What players really should be working on, Mo, is learning how to play through contact. Why?
They don't play in an empty gym with that trainer.
Yeah. And it's really, I mean, Mo, it's really because Mo, it's a skill set that's required. You can't play in this game if you can't play through the contact. Why? Because you're going to get fouled on every play. Mm-hmm. And most players don't understand how physical this game really is, especially when we get to the playoffs. Mo, the referee is going to put away the whistle at the end of the game in the playoffs. Yep. And if you don't have the ability to play through that physical contact or the physicality of the game, you're never going to get a call. Mm-hmm. You're never, you know what I'm saying? Like, Mo, all these guys do all these moves, and then the game always comes down to who's the strongest guy that can get the loose ball, who's the strongest guy who can play through the contact, who's the guy who can go get a rebound when needed, who's the guy that can hold you off on blocking out. And if someone were to ask me, I would say, let's learn how to play through contact, because the best players, right? The best players to ever play, mm-hmm. they all displayed that skill, which is a skill, either you have it or you don't. Either you know how to do it or you don't. And in my opinion, when you watch the game today, everyone's going away from the contact. Everyone is going, like, when you think of the Celtics last year, they were clearly with the I always thought Milwaukee plays physical, but they were clearly the most physical team in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah, 1 through 5.
Okay, and when you say the Western Conference, to me, the Warriors are the most physical team. All right, yeah. Draymond and these guys play a physical brand. Draymond and Looney. Okay, you don't think of them as like superior athletes. Watch them every possession. They have a body on the opposing team every single time. Kevon Looney should never be rebounding like he's rebounding. Well, why is he so effective?
Remember Kevon Looney in college? He was like a wing.
That's what I'm saying. No, Kevon Looney is a very physical player.
Yep.
He just wears you out because he constantly is putting a body on someone. He's strong in his lower extremity. I mean, his legs must be incredibly strong because he pushes people under the basket with his legs. We know Draymond is a physical player, and you can see that these guys are very, very physical players. Al Horford, for instance, a physical player, and the way that the Celtics played, they're a physical team. And the most physical teams, more times than not, Mo, are the best teams in the league. Yeah, because you say the referees, in my opinion, they all say, well, this is the brand of basketball that they play. Like Giannis, did you watch the Sacramento game last night?
Oh, wow, what a game. What a performance.
Giannis,
like 31 minutes.
The physicality of the game, that the brand of basketball that was played last night by the Milwaukee Bucks, okay? It just wore the Sacramento Kings down. Giannis, he just wore them down. Giannis and Brook Lopez just wore them down. They just kept bumping them. They just kept hitting them. And at some
can't
point,
do nothing.
Mo,
you can't do nothing.
Everyone's talking about this guy's got a 50-inch vertical. I don't care about a vertical. I want a guy who can just keep running through, because at some point the referee's going to go, hey, this is how the guy plays. Giannis he gets an offensive foul.
We had this same conversation about Draymond the other day, didn't we? When we were talking about how he gets away with everything he gets away with. That's just who he is. And that's who he is. And then, okay.
That's how he plays. Mo, Giannis, you can almost get an offensive foul on Giannis every single time. Yeah. I'm convinced that Giannis does the following. He just wants to see who has the courage to take this offensive foul. Because
it's like every other possession he remembers, he can just run through everyone.
Through you. Everyone. And Mo, you can't guard him unless you have the courage to take that hit. And Mo, you got to take that hit in your chest. And you know something, Mo? When that man, that's a big man, Mo. Mm-hmm. And when that big man gets to run in full speed, you second guess yourself. Because Mo,
that's a freight train.
He's not shying away from the Mo. He's initiating the contact. And Mo, I'm telling you, you take one of those hits, you begin to say,
no, thank you.
No, exactly. and then
not again, sir.
And Big Brook, did you see what Big Brook did at the end of the game? I loved it.
He had his back.
I loved it. And Giannis was like, hey, I'll pay the fine. Translation. Everybody on the team knows I can't do what I really wanted to do because of the importance. But the players on the team was like, well, yo,
we got you.
You can't. I loved it. Mo, that lets me know. Everyone says they're locked in and saying how many points they scored. No, you're locked in when you're saying we're the most aggressive team on the floor.
Yeah.
Mo, now that showed me right then and there, that the Milwaukee Bucks are ready for what's about to happen. They've added a physical presence and a physicality to the game in Jay Crowder, Giannis, Brook Lopez, Middleton, and my man Drew Holiday. Mo.
Yep. I think I'm gonna get BJ a Jay Crowder jersey, because I think that's like the last 5 episodes he's found a way to unprovoked.
I love guys like that, because Mo, those guys win the game. They don't win the stat sheet. They win the game.
Yeah.
You got to have them. And by the way, after we tape here, we got to make sure we watch that game, because he's going back to Phoenix tonight.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's why I brought that up.
I just wish KD was playing, man. I just wish KD was getting a little preview of the finals.
Hey. Let me tell you this. I'm pretty sure Milwaukee probably going to be there. I don't know what the Phoenix Suns going to do. They're going to be in the finals.
Well, we're going to be there watching.
That's another discussion.
We hope you guys are going to be with us tomorrow and for the rest of the week. Stay locked in, because the Allen Iverson interview is going to drop very soon. So stay locked in, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so that you do not miss that episode. It's a great one. BJ, thank you once again for your wisdom. And you guys at home, appreciate you tuning in. Appreciate you rocking with us. Make sure you tell your friends to get involved, because the AI interview is coming very soon. So don't miss the Hoop Genius podcast. We'll see you next time. And make sure you get buckets.